Hi guys, welcome! In this video, we'll take a closer look at the updated Severe Rainstorm or SRS build for Wanderers in Episode SP. The Performer class is currently in high demand when forming parties for Thanatos Tower and Oracle, as they can deal insane amounts of damage with SRS. In addition, they have various types of performance skills that either heal allies or help increase DPS, which are vital when clearing instances. So to help you in improving your Wanderer SRS build, we'll have a detailed discussion on my recommendations on where to allocate your skill and stat points, what runes, equipment, and cards to get, and the various tips on farming and clearing dungeons. Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be able to build a strong and versatile Wanderer character. Alright, without further ado, let's begin. First, let's discuss the skill distribution. For the Archer skills, you should allocate points on Level 10 Vulture's Eye for increased range and hit, Level 10 Owl's Eye for plus 10 dex, Level 10 Elemental Arrow for plus 30 attack, and lastly, get Level 10 Arrow Shower since the damage of SRS is based on the damage of your Arrow Shower skill. Next, for Dancer skills, we have Level 10 Practice Dance, which will increase your attack when using a whip-type weapon. Level 5 Service for You, which can be used when farming since there are Acer Monument runes that will increase SP regen while performing this dance. And Level 1 Momentary Adaptation to stop any performance skill being performed. As for the remaining skill points, allocation will be up to you. For the farming build, you may get Level 10 Mr. Gold is Rich, which is an ensemble skill that grants higher EXP to the whole party within an area. However, if you don't have a bard partner when farming, you may opt to not allocate points on this skill. For the MVP build, there are two ensemble skills you can choose from. First is Eternal Chaos, which can be unlocked by getting Level 5 Humming, and Level 1 Eternal Chaos. This ensemble reduces the defense of all nearby enemies by 100% for 1 minute. You and your partner should position near the MVP since the enemy must be inside the area for the skill to take effect. Another ensemble skill that can be used in team dungeons is Level 10 War Drum, which increases your party's attack and defense by 10% each. You may opt to leave this at Level 30 only as a prerequisite to Nibelungen Ring. And lastly, for crowd control, you may get Level 5 Chilling Scream, which stuns nearby enemies. Next, for the Gypsy skills, we have the following. Level 10 Proficient Dancing to further increase your dex and attack. Level 5 Don't Hold Me Back to allow movement when using ensemble skills. And Level 5 Encore to reduce the SP cost when repeating the same performance skill that was used before. As for the remaining 20 points, the decision is again up to you. But as a suggestion, you may get Level 10 Arrow Vulcan as a secondary offensive skill. This will come in handy when there are sorcerers that are spamming Earthfield, as you will not be able to use SRS. You may also get Level 10 Nibelungen Ring, which is another ensemble skill that boosts the DPS of your party by increasing physical and magic penetration by 10%. This is the best ensemble skill that can increase your damage output. Once you've reached Job Breakthrough, you may allocate additional skill points on the following. Level 20 Arrow Shower for higher SRS damage, Level 20 Practice Dance for plus 10% damage increase, and Level 15 Proficient Dancing for plus 5% attack. As for the remaining 5 points, it depends on the situation and personal preference. If you'll be farming with a partner, then get Level 15 Mr. Gold is Rich to have 100% increase in job and base EXP gained. Make sure that your partner has this skill at max level also in order to get a full 100% increase in EXP. But if for team dungeons, you may get Level 15 War Drum for higher percent attack and defense for you and your party. Lastly, for the third job skills of Wanderers, prioritize getting Level 20 Severe Rainstorm, which is our main damaging skill. Take note that SRS can be casted during an ensemble skill but not during a solo performance. To be able to use SRS while performing a solo dance, you will need the Gale and Swift Rain rune with the third line activated. Next, get level 10 Shield of Resonance, which is a solo skill that provides continuous healing for you and your party. Level 5 Song of Return for resurrecting a teammate. Level 3 Moonlight Serenade as a prerequisite for Ancient Song. And level 15 Ancient Song, which is a choir skill that increases the attack and magic attack of all teammates based on you and your partner's max HP. The difference between a choir versus an ensemble skill is that the effect of choir skill remain even if the performance is not playing continuously. So you may cast Ancient Song first and then play War Drum or Nibelungen Ring for a huge boost in damage. As for the remaining 7 points, you may allot them on any skill of your choice. You may either get Performance class for additional SP sustainability, Elemental Arrow since there are Acer Monument runes that give free attack for each level of Elemental Arrow, or Arrow Vulcan for a higher damage multiplier. Lastly, allot the remaining 20 points from job level 61 to 80 and Force Focus for higher HP. Next, let's discuss the recommended stat distribution. Prioritize putting points on Dex as it increases your raw physical attack, thereby improving the damage of severe Rainstorm. Next, put points on Int, which is essential to sustain SP while performing. In addition, it can also increase physical attack when the Int switch runes are activated. As for the remaining points, just allocate them on Vit for survivability. Next, let's discuss the most important runes to get. For the Acer Monument runes, you should activate the following. First up, we have 5 Severe Rainstorm and Power runes which will boost the damage of SRS by a total of 30%. Next, get 4 Severe Rainstorm range runes which will increase the casting range of SRS from 7.5 to 9.5 meters. After that, we have 4 Arrow Shower and Power runes which will increase the damage of Arrow Shower by a total of 20%. This will directly increase the damage of SRS. Next, activate 1 Fire Arrow Shower rune which will proc the burn effect on enemies when using fire element arrows. Then get the 5 Int switch runes so that each point of Int will be converted to 1 attack. After that, we have free Ignore Death runes which grants a total of 3% Ignore Death. Next, unlock the free Elemental Arrow runes which will give free attack for each level of Elemental Arrow. And finally, get all 10 Dex runes and 10 Int runes. Take note that this rune map only includes those which can increase the damage of SRS. There are also some optimal auxiliary runes you can get such as Ancient Song Sharp Blade and Nibelungen Ring Physical for higher attack and pen respectively, Shield Resonance Recover for higher healing amount, Service for You Arcane and Play Increased Spiritual Recovery for additional SP regen while performing, Mr. Gold Experience for higher EXP when farming, and runes that can improve your survivability in dungeons such as Vit, percent HP, physical and magic damage reduction, and Play Guard. As for your remaining contribution, allocate them on nearby attack nodes. Next, let's discuss advanced runes you may get. For the first skill rune, the most important rune to activate is the Gale and Swift Rain Class S rune. This will increase the damage of SRS by 1% up to 30%. It will also improve your movement speed by 1% up to 20% when using SRS. And lastly, if a third line is activated, you'll be able to cast SRS while performing any solo performance skill. But do take note that the chance of getting the third line is only 6%. When farming, you can perform Service for You to help in SP sustain. And then in team dungeons, you should use Shield Resonance to continuously heal you and your allies. As for the second skill rune, you need to use another Class S rune which is the Storm and Rain rune. This will enable you to cast SRS more rapidly as the first line effect decreases the cooldown of SRS by 0.01 to 1.5 seconds. It also allows you to cast other skills more rapidly after using SRS, as the second line effect decreases cast delay by 0.01 to 2 seconds. And for the last skill rune, you may use any rune depending on what skill you'll be performing while casting SRS. My recommendations are Life Echo rune for improving the healing effect of Shield Resonance, Distant Sky Sunset rune for boosting the attack and magic attack granted by Ancient Song, and Selfless rune for increasing max SP and SP cost reduction granted by Service for You. If the third line is activated, it can become a buff skill. Finally, for the attribute runes, prioritize upgrading the Annihilation Attack Rune, Penetration Attack Rune, Armor Breaking Attack Rune, and Assault Attack Rune. Then for the buff runes, level up your Dex, Int, and Size buff runes. Up next, let's dive into the recommended equipment set and cards. In general, the stats you need to improve SRS damage are Physical Penetration, Physical Damage Increase, Ignore Def, Dex, and Attack. It's important to aim for more than 100% Ignore Def when fighting against newer MVPs, or in instances like Oracle and Thanatos Tower for higher damage output. For weapon, use a Shemati Whip with a high refinement level because each refine level increases the damage of SRS by 2%, meaning a plus 10 Shemati Whip would give an additional 20% SRS damage. For the endgame, we need to synthesize your Shemati Whip into Sinking with plus 10 or higher refinement for a significant increase in damage. Aim for either Morale or Arc 4th Enchant for increased Ignore Def or Range Attack respectively. As for weapon cards, the most important all-around card for the SRS build is the Rain of Arrow card. A plus 15 Sinking with 2 Rain of Arrow cards would increase the damage of Arrow Shower by 60%, and this would be added in the damage computation of SRS. However, when fighting against large-sized MVPs, it would be better to use 2 Minoris cards. This is because of the Abyssal Cry Gacha headgear, which can activate the Insight effect, giving a huge boost in Ignore Def. But if you don't have that headgear, you can still deal decent damage against MVPs with Rain of Arrow card. For the offhand, you may use the Rosa Bracelet for additional 25% Ignore Def. Aim for plus 12 refinement and max tier for additional attack. However, if you already have 100% Ignore Def stat without Rosa Bracelet, then the Niles Bracelet would be a better alternative as it gives range damage. Ideally, it should be refined to plus 10 or plus 15 for additional range damage. Aim for Armor Breaking 4th Enchant which grants Physical Penetration or a high Dex stat. For the offhand slot, you may place any of the following cards that increase damage to certain elements. However, if you don't want to switch cards, you may use the Agent of Love card which gives plus 3% Ignore Def. If you have high budget, then use the Anubis Star card for plus 5% damage to all races. For the armor, the most suitable for this build is the Elegant Uniform, as it significantly boosts the damage of SRS, especially if it has a high refinement level. For the endgame, you need to synthesize your Elegant Uniform into Moon Gown with plus 10 or higher refinement for more physical penetration. Similar with the weapon, you should also aim for the Morale or Arc 4th Enchant in your armor. As for armor cards, you may inlay either a Moonak Star card for plus 15% Ignore Def, or an Archer Skeleton Star card if you can already achieve a high Ignore Def stat even without Moonak Star card. For garment, the only option is Ancient Cane for plus 15% Ignore Def. Ideally, it should have plus 8 or plus 12 refinement and upgraded to max tier for more attack. As for enchantment, aim for a high physical damage increase or attack stat. Then for garment card, the best in slot is the Dark Archer card as it increases the damage multiplier of SRS by 10%. For footgear, the Rune Boost would be the best option as it gives high percent attack, especially when upgraded to max tier and refined to plus 12. Similar with the garment, you should also aim for high physical damage increase or attack stat in the enchantment. As for a footgear card, you may use a Unit 01 card from the Ava event which gives plus 10 attack and plus 2 dex. If you have high budget, then use the Dead Moonlight Flower card for plus 5 dex and plus 3% pen. For accessories, the most ideal would be the Dog Servant for high attack power and increased damage against Demon and Brute Race. Aim for either plus 12 or plus 15 refinement level for increased range damage. But do take note that this is quite expensive. Another good accessory is Bright Moon, which is a synthesized form of Lunar Brooch. This greatly increases attack, dex, int, and SP regen. It is not mandatory to refine it to a higher level and it's cheaper to make it slotted. Lastly, we have Fox Teeth, which is a synthesized form of Mateer's Leash. It is more expensive than Bright Moon but cheaper than Dog Servant. This is recommended when clearing instances like Thanatos Tower as a speeding up skill greatly improves your movement speed, perfect for avoiding AoE damage. As for enchantment, just aim for high physical damage increase stat. And then for accessory cards, you may inlay and erase or element damage modifiers depending on the monsters you are grinding. But if you don't want to switch cards, then just use the Zipper Bear Star card to boost your attack by 3%. Lastly, for the headgears, there are a lot of headgears in the game right now with various effects and uses. Choosing which to equip should be based on your budget, both in Zenny and real money for gacha headwears. For the head, the gacha item Abyssal Cry is currently the best in slot due to its ability to activate the insight effect of Minora's card. You'll need 3 Minora's cards, 2 in your weapon and 1 in your adventure handbook to get plus 50% ignore def. If you don't have the Abyssal Cry, you may use other gacha headgears like Norma the Unicorn or Thunder God's Kabuto. There is also the Devil Unicorn from Kafra Adventure Log, which gives plus 3% pen and additional 2% attack if your dex reaches 240. As for F2P players, you may use the Majestic Goat, Cat Ear Beret, or Ice Apple. For headwear cards, you may inlay either an Under a Star card for additional pen and ignore def, or an Agira Star card for additional attack and plus 2 to all attributes. For the face, Alchemy Beak is currently the best in slot when fighting against boss monsters, since it has a chance to reduce the monster's demi-human damage reduction by up to 20%. This means you and your teammates, which are all of demi-human race, will deal higher damage to MVP. Other options are Star Love Song and Frost Masquerade Mask for gacha headwear. And then for F2P players, we have the High Refined Atrocious Mouth, Beast Mask, or Dragon Scale Stripe. For the mouth, the current best in slot is Dreamwave Silk for gacha headwear and Abyss Whisper for F2P. A cheaper alternative is the Blowgun. For the back, my recommendations for gacha items are One Eye Captain, Starlight Sweetie, or Thunder Taiko. As for F2P back items, you may use the Baby Owl, Devil Wing, Quiver, or Steward Briefcase. And lastly, for the tail, I suggest using Windperch Drake, Gutswing 1, or Golden March for gacha headwears, and Beast Tail, Ice Rich Sculpture, or Porcopicha for F2P. As for headwear enchantment, you should aim for Morale 4th enchant on the face and back item, and Arc 4th enchant on your tail item. Up next, let's take a look at the possible pets to accompany you in battle. Choosing which pet to summon depends on the situation, and here are some of my recommendations. To boost damage, the best pet right now is Jiltrish, since she grants plus 40 attack and plus 2% pen. An alternative is Moonlight Flower for plus 2% pen. You may also use pets that give 5% ignore def such as Desert Wolf Baby, Peko Peko, Rowan, or Alice. If you have problems sustaining SP when farming, you may get pets that increase SP regions such as Sohi, Marionette, or Pen Pen. For Oracle, get a Boon or Osiris pet for their resurrection skill. And for mini boss hunt, get an Orc Wire or Orc Baby to taunt the mini, preventing it from teleporting. Lastly, here are some useful tips you need to take note of. First up, we have farming spots. Grinding with SRS is most efficient for mobs that spawn rapidly and close together. These are some of the optimal spots for farming. In Border Checkpoint, these are the spots where you can kill multiple Harpy, Highland Parasite, and Geographer. Next, in Aimbrook Field, these are the spots where you can kill multiple Geographer and Marmot. Beware though, as Archangeling and Martin Princess can also spawn here. Next, in Magma Dungeon First Floor, we have these spots where you can kill multiple Fairy Mane, Fairy de Verucci, and Fire Fledgling. Next, in Plain of Ida, these are the spots where you can kill multiple Strappa, Man-Eating Grass, and Rowan. And lastly, in Holy Underground Sanctuary, this is the spot where you can kill multiple Hodremlin, Devil's Eye, and Red Devil's Eye. Make sure you tick Stay Alert and put in SRS and Service for You in your auto skill slot. Do take note that the competition is tight in most of these farming areas, so just channel hop if you can't solo the spot. For my next tip, make use of consumable items before going into battle. First, use elemental converters or arrows to change the element of SRS. This will significantly increase the damage against monsters with elemental weakness. Converters are more economical to use when farming, while arrows are more economical when fighting against boss monsters. To boost damage, we have Dex Meal, int meal, and satisfied feast, which is the best among cooked foods. When fighting against boss monsters, you may also use controlling alloys depending on the element you are using. Attack alloys for a huge boost in attack, and precision stones since whips have a penalty against large size. Next, another way to improve your DPS is to reduce your SRS cooldown and cast delay. Aside from getting a good Storm and Rain class S rune, there are additional ways to decrease these attributes. For cooldown, it can be reduced by 24% if you have a High Priest in your party, which can cast a Fragium with Sacrifice Ode AC runes. And then for cast delay, it can be reduced by 15% when you consume 6 original Will Salad, and another 10% when you use the Silver Bell Tail item. This will allow you to cast SRS more rapidly. Next, we have Guild Blessing and Praying Card Distribution. For Guild Blessing, max out Combat Blessing to 150. And for Praying Cards, prioritize Spend, Ignore Death, and Attack for attack cards, Damage Reduction and Max HP for Death cards, and Fire and Holy Damage for Element cards. And for my last and final tip, you need to invest in your raw attack unlock and deposit rewards in my Adventure Handbook, which I have talked about in one of my previous videos. If you haven't watched that yet, I have the video linked down below. In addition, you may also get more Dex and Int by doing the following. First, by doing multi-job and leveling up to the following job classes. Second is by getting headway deposit rewards from the Leo and Pisces Diadem. Third and last is by depositing the following cards. Investing in these stats in your Adventure Handbook will definitely help in enhancing your damage output. Alright, so far we discussed the skills, stats, runes, equipment, cards, and tips for the SRS build of Wanderers. I hope that with this guide you now understand how to unleash the full potential of your SRS when farming and clearing instances. Make sure to stay tuned as I'll discuss the updated episode SP SRS build for minstrels in my next video. Alright, that's it for this video guys. Don't forget to like if you enjoyed watching this guide. If you're new here, I would love for you to consider subscribing by hitting the red subscribe button down below. I would love to have you back. Thank you for watching and see you in our next episode.